Just told you I want to stay in the unit.
And the landlord doesn't have to let you because you have not paid rent. Do I have someone first on behalf of Linda Davis? Miss Davis, I see you there. You'll need to unmute on your phone if you press *6 or.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can. Good afternoon. Are you Miss
Okay.
Linda Davis?
Yes, I am.
Thank you for being here. All right, and do you.
What that says if you're on mobile devices, she says she always pays her rent, just late. Problem is, late turned into never, and now we're months deep into unpaid balances. The landlord's done waiting, and when the judge pulls up that ledger, yeah, that's where things get weird fast.
Do you have with you, or is Darius Davis here? Anyone here for
No,
Darius?
he's working.
Okay,
Devin, my son Devin is here. Come here.
okay. Thank you. Davis, Davis, and Davis. All right, thank you for being here then, Miss Davis, and for Mr. Davis for Devon as well. All right, Miss Carcos, tell me why this case was filed.
This is failure to pay rent. Rent is $13.50 a month. They owe January through the prorated of April for a total of $4,365 in back rent through today. A 30-day notice to vacate was left inside of the unit on January 5th. There's no government subsidy, and they have been previously late before. And we're seeking back rent, court cost, and possession.
All right. Any subsidy?
No, Your Honor.
And it was 30 days. Is that because it's a CARES property?
Yes, Your Honor.
Good afternoon, Miss Davis. Thank you for being here. And for
Yeah.
Mr. Davis as well. Thank you for both being here.
Before we get into Miss Davis's part, so it looks like that might have been her New Year's resolution, because it says she stopped paying in January and she hasn't paid all the way up to now, which is April. So her New Year's resolution was, I'm gonna save my money. I ain't gonna pay no more rent. That's what it looks like. But let's find out. But first, y'all, before we get back into it, if you could like the video, I greatly appreciate it. Only takes a second and it actually helps out more than you know. And also, if you could hype.
Ms. Carcos is here. She represents the landlord, El Prado, and that beautiful long title. She works for a group called Nationwide, though, but in addition to her, Ms. Herrera is here from the landlord's agent. They said that, or Ms. Carcos rather told me the case is one about finances, Ms. Davis. So my first question is the monthly rent $1,350?
Correct.
Okay. And then Ms. Carcos said that rent remains unpaid for January, February, March, and now April. Is that correct as well?
I'm not sure about January. I know February and March, but no, I think we made that payment for January, if I'm not mistaken.
All right, but February, March, and April, those haven't been.
Yes.
All right.
And if I might say something on my behalf, if it's
Absolutely,
okay.
Ms. Davis, go ahead.
The office manager, Miss Lucy, that's present here, has recently took over that position that she has. The lady prior to her, one of the managers there was overpayments. Me and her had a verbal agreement. I went to her in February with a money order, and she told me just hang on to it. Just hang on to it.
Okay.
And that I could try to get rental assistance through one of the agencies that help out tenants that's late. She said, in order to do that, I have to file eviction. So this
What?
is like we went through this whole verbal thing. So she said,
No.
in order to file eviction, just wait, and then you can get assistance with your rent that way. But you have to have an eviction notice. So she
Get
stated
the.
that she was going to file it. I think she said February 17th. And so this whole time it's been a waiting process. Also, one of the other workers, there, Crystal Ramirez, as I think, I might be wrong on her last name. Um, she's been helping assist me with sending my application to various agencies to try to get assistance. Unfortunately, I just learned that one of the agencies funding ran out like the 1st of March. They cut it off. So this whole time she's been sending my application saying, wait to hear from them. She was unaware that they funding was closed. They closed their whole portal. So it's like I feel like I'm just kind of in limbo here because I
No.
took her advice We had a oral agreement going on. She left. She's no longer here. I didn't get the funding or the help or the assistance from the agency because they don't have any funding, and so it's like, okay, I understand Miss Lucy's position, but at the same time, I didn't know Amy was gonna quit. Understand? I did not. I know I'm responsible for my rent, but
Okay.
Amy and some of the other managers knew my situation. I always pay my rent at the end of the month,
All right.
only because I had to resign
Miss Davis.
from my
Miss
job.
Davis.
I'm sorry.
I appreciate all that, but
I wanted to let her get her whole thing off because I'm trying to give her the benefit of the doubt for her to make this make sense. And throughout all that, it didn't. And I really feel like that was a deflection because what they were doing was they were running down all the months that she hadn't paid. And then she was like, can I say something on my behalf? And then she got away from that completely, in my opinion, because she's too old to think that that makes sense. You're too old to not know what an eviction on your record means. Get the F out of here. You know that that's not a good look. And then you're too old to be trying to, what it seems like, use the courts in some way for it to then show up to where you can get some assistance in some way. You're too old to be trying to do all these little things where you're trying to find a loophole and not get anything in writing. Because if you're going to bring up the fact that it seems like you might have been trying to get something on paper so that then you could qualify for some type of funding from an organization or grant, then if you're willing to admit it in court, record it, then why didn't you just go ahead and get that in writing or have, something? And now she's saying the person left. And then she told you, see, I didn't forget this. She told you, keep the money order. Don't spend it. Still keep it. So once the shift happened and they got new management and they said, yeah, we're going through with the eviction to actually evict you, why didn't you give them that money order that she told you to keep? Since you're taking her advice, why didn't you keep that money order and then you could have paid that down? Because they're saying you haven't paid nothing. It's not making sense. And she's too old to think that that's going to be something that's just going to be valid, in my opinion. You can't claim ignorance in this.
but I got to move along here. Let me show you the ledger because they show the ledger as having a balance since October. So I'm going to share my screen, okay?
Okay.
What they sent me 2 pages of your full ledger. So this is it. This is page 1, this is page 2. Right here it is. And
Let
when
me
I look
look.
at this, beginning in
Let me-
November of 2024, right? You come on down and then you have you're good. And then where the problem begins for this lawsuit is here in 2025. And the last time I show that you did not owe them any money is right here. I know it's a little bit hard, but right here on October 1st, if you come across, you'll see that you actually had a balance. They had a credit for you of 8 cents. And then October charges a lot. So then you get charged for October, late fee, sewer, rent, and then it continues to accrue thereafter. And so you made a payment towards it, but you never actually zeroed out again. And the last time I see payments getting made, there's a payment in December. You did pay in December, but because you still owed rent from October and the late fees, it was applied toward that. That's why there's still a balance outstanding. And then it comes through when you get it again in January. And then that's the last time I see any payments being made. And then those
So when
payments,
was the last payment made again?
the last 3 payments that your ledger shows are that you paid 3 separate times $500 in January on the 7th.
You don't know your own finances. You don't know what you did pay and what you didn't pay. I think that's the problem. And see, the judge brought it up. She was like, she put her glass down. Let me look. Sidebar. I think that's like the Hail Mary that like elderly people are willing to do. Like they might have just been at a party on Saturday, but I feel like the last defense, the last layer of defense, when they're just like put themselves in a bad situation and they don't want to face it, they try to act all senile, like they don't understand. Ma'am, you know you ain't been paying since October. and then you try to put a little something on it, and then you just stop paying altogether in the new year. And she's got to walk you through this thing, showing what you didn't pay. You know what you didn't pay. It was intentional. You just said not paying the whole year was intentional. And you know back in October you didn't pay. She's like, let me look. Ma'am, you know. We got to stop this. We got to stop this.
3 different check scans for $500. One was 501, 500, and 500, and that brought your outstanding balance down at that point to 1534.
And that was for the month of,
So that was
Oh.
in January is the last time I see you making it per the ledger they're giving me, right? And then February came and then they gave notice and they filed.
so that payment in January, was that for the month of January?
I don't know what it was for, but because the lease, they're allowed to put the money you give them toward any money outstanding. You still owed money all the way back from October. See, your balance has been ongoing since then. And
That
when you
can't be, that, I don't understand. I pay my rent every month, but towards the end of the month,
exactly, Ms. Davis,
and
I think because you pay toward the end of the month, you owe all those late fees, but you're not paying the late
yeah,
fees.
it's
And
always $1,500.
Ms.
I
Davis, please
understand.
contact an attorney. Because right now the balance they show is $3,000. That is not what she's seeking. Today she's seeking $43.65. Because the balance they showed in February, you still owed $3,000. And then since then, March and April have been due.
And that's why I'm not understanding. Okay, and
Contact legal aid, Ms. Davis. I'm not able to advise you. I can only show you the information I have. But what is not in dispute is that you have not been able to make payment for March and April.
I have a heart condition, ma'am. That's why I resigned. I
Okay,
have heart
I'll
failure.
find a solution for it.
Everybody have such a,
See, that's why you got to have your own records. You need to have visibility on what you're doing and of your finances. Otherwise, all they have to go off of is the plaintiff's plaintiff's records. But if you had your own records to dispute that, then you could actually dispute on tangible facts as opposed to just acting like you don't understand. Maybe there is an error somewhere in that paperwork, but you didn't come to court prepared to show everything that you have been paying. And I'm gonna be honest, that little story she gave at the beginning about how she was trying to like finesse something to get some assistance by not paying, and she had collaborated with the leasing lady, she'd have been better off just keeping that to herself. Cause you're trying to act all senile and all this type of stuff now, but you said there was a whole strategy behind this. Like this was intentional from the beginning. So I think that actually ends up hurting you, just in my opinion.
situations that arise. I'm not trying to get no sympathy, but like I say, Amy knew all of this and they was working with me. I was in the process of getting my Social Security, which was denied, and now I'm going through app aid to get assistance for appeal. Some people just fall on their luck. It's not like I'm a bad person. I
Never,
do want to
absolutely,
stay.
Ms. Davis.
I
Nothing in
do
this
want to
conviction
stay
says you're
here.
a bad person, Ms. Davis.
Oh
Today, our
no.
judgment is solely because you don't have enough money.
I got
Oh, she using all the little victim defenses. First, it was like she was trying to act like she didn't understand. Like, you know, now she's using the shame on them. Like, people fall on their luck, you know. Okay, that's not you fell on your luck, but you see again, her story hurts her. You admitted that you had the money order at least for one of those months, and then you chose not to pay it, but she told you to keep it. So where is that? You fell on your luck. Where's that money order that you were supposed to keep?
$1,000 of it,
Having
and I
enough
can
money is
have
not an immoral thing. You just
2,300.
need to have a lot of money. Ms. Davis,
Excuse me.
Ms. Davis, I want to give you the judgment, okay? Here is the outcome of the hearing today. Today, the judgment is for the plaintiff. It is $4,365. That is all of January, all of February, all of March, and a proration for 7 days of April. That does not include late fees, utility bills, or any other amount of money that may be owed under the lease. That is pure rent. All right. Ms. Davis, you have, and Mr. Davis and Mr. Davis, all three of you have 5 days beginning tomorrow to appeal that decision. Either one of you can appeal that decision. If none of you take any action on day 6, the judgment becomes final and the landlord can get a writ of possession and remove you Mr. Davis, and all of your possessions.
You know why she's talking to all three of them? Because it's 2 grown men in that house too, is what it appears, allegedly. So it looks like it's a young man, and then it's the old man. So that brings up some questions. But let's go ahead and resolve this.
In the next 5 days, you absolutely can seek assistance. You can contact any of the legal aid representatives that you've already reached out to, any legal aid that you find, you can contact them. And definitely tell them, and this is important, that you have been evicted. Prior to today, you were facing eviction, but today it is official, it is done. If you don't get
Why is it official? Why is it done?
because we just had the hearing and I'm ruling in favor of the
'Cause the
plaintiff, you
case
have not
closed.
paid rent.
So okay, but I just told you I want to stay in the unit.
And the landlord doesn't have to let you because you have not paid rent. That's what I'm saying. Ms.
I
Davis,
understand that, Judge.
Okay.
I understand that.
So you
Have
have
a little
5 more days.
sympathy here.
I have a lot of
I
sympathy, Ms.
told
Davis,
you
but I
I have
can't not move.
$2,300. I have $2,300.
Oh, now
I
you
will
got the
talk to
money?
her. But don't
Okay.
be heartless, really. I'm gonna give it to the universe. I'm gonna give it to the universe
Okay, Ms. Davis.
because you
Oh,
people don't have no empathy for folks. Are we done here?
Yes, we are, Ms. Davis. All
Are we
parties are
done,
excused.
Judge?
wow.
Everyone is excused. Thank you very much. Appeal bond.
Give it to the universe.
Thank you, Judge.
All right. Our next case is going to be 26.
See, and wow, I didn't expect that. But I did though. Because that's typically going to be the reaction that you're going to get when somebody's using manipulation tactics on you and they're used to it working, but you being able to see through it and stay on point and stay on task and just get things done the way that they're supposed to be done and get it done in an objective way, as opposed to letting things and other factors and variables that have nothing to do with the facts to stray away from that. And that's why I called it out at the beginning, that I felt like she was the first. I can identify every tactic that she used all the way from the beginning to the end, because there's 3 ones that she really used within this time, and she did it so effortlessly. She's really like Yoda when it comes to like the manipulation. Like she's the Jedi master. Because the first one was when they were bringing up all the things that she hadn't paid, and it was sounding bad. Because I even mentioned it, like, dang, she just made her New Year's resolution not to pay nothing this year, and then she completely distracted away from that and told a little story that she said was verbal. So there's nothing there. That's no point even bringing that up. You have no proof about that. You're just saying that. The second time was when they were, again, another instance when they were bringing up facts, and she had that paper on the screen that this woman knows that she didn't do, but she's like, let me look, let me see, I don't remember that. And she was trying to act confused and senile. So that was the second time she tried to use a little tactic in order to deflect. And then the third time was when she got more aggressive with it, and when she actually like went on the attack. The other stuff was like defenses to deflect. Bing, bing, bing. Then she said, okay, I got to go on the attack here. So then she actually started shaming them and making it seem like, oh, everyone falls down on their luck. Oh, well, you don't have to do it like that. And she started trying to attack the judge, when everybody who looks at things with an objective lens could see that that judge was being very polite, very professional, very nice, but ultimately she was being impartial. So impartial means that no matter what personal things that you say, she cannot then take your side just because of her own personal feelings. She has to be impartial. See, you want the judge to be impartial when it comes to handing down sentences or whether or not they're going to send you to jail or not. Then you want them to be impartial. But when you just know that you've been up to no good and you've been violating, and then you sitting here, okay, I think you made it up, but let's just take it from the fact that the previous leasing lady told you to hold on to your money, don't pay, and wait for this eviction to come through so it can show, and then you can get your assistance. Let's say that happened. When you didn't get the assistance, And then the new leasing company came, and it was very clear that they were actually trying to remove you from the property. Why didn't you then pay them the $2,300 that you're now saying that you can come up with once they say that they're actually going to come down with some consequences? Why didn't you do it then? Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Y'all, we're going to leave it there for today. If you could like the video, I greatly appreciate it. Only takes a second, and it actually helps out more than you know. Also, if you could hype the video, hype is a new feature that YouTube offers where it helps smaller content creators like myself. And basically, when you hype, it actually pushes us to the extent that it pushes the larger content creators. So you just press the hype button, then it shows the points. And since I'm a smaller content creator, we actually get more points per hype. And then also Patreon's link below if you want to see self-improvement content as well. But until then, I'll catch you in the next video.